Hello all, I'm glad to be there for this first edition of Live Embedded Events. I'm here to speak about Azure Sphere and IoT security. I'm Pierre Lebas, I'm part of Microsoft IoT and Mixed Reality team in Europe. I'm having an IoT architect role where I'm supporting partners and customers to adopt Azure platform to build their IoT solutions. In landscape of emerging technologies, cyber attacks are a great concern. It's even more the case in IoT, where the attack surface is greater due to the fact that many devices are in the field. As revealed in a recent global survey conducted by Microsoft called IoT Signal, security is still top of mind for most IoT decision makers. Typical attacks that we are seeing are about hackers leaving devices useless, holding them for a ransom, taking control of devices, using them to attack networks, stealing confidential information, or even worse, customer information. Even if sometimes difficult to quantify, risks associated with security are high. They can encompass operational risk, like losing some revenue, brand risk, like damaging the brand of your company, or even legal risk, in the sense that a company can be responsible for effects of an attack. Overall, this risk is justifying a specific focus and specific investment, taking attention on IoT security. To cope with this risk, Microsoft did issue specific guidances, so-called 7 properties of highly secured devices. Microsoft Research, many years ago, did start taking a look on this question and did look in thousands of connected devices to factorize properties that need to be present as a minimum for highly secured devices. Some of these properties are delivered in hardware, some are delivered through software, and some depend on cloud services. These properties, agglomerated together, help to protect devices from attack and to allow for security to be renewed and updated over time, also protecting the device while threats are evolving. I won't go in details in these 7 properties, but I encourage you to read different reference documents. There are 2 main ones that you may want to read. One is really detailing these 7 properties, and the second one is giving practical best practices on how to implement them. The scene being set with these 7 properties, it is notable to understand that building these properties and running them is rather costly. This paradigm between building them and running is really the topic of this session, because we are speaking a lot about the building, the development of secured solutions, but somehow less how to run them. Building part is requiring the right technology, the right development, and is requiring the talent to develop these technological bricks. Running the solution is also requiring the talents and the competencies to do that, but is also requiring a plan, some tactics to really manage over time this security. In this sense, we recognize how hard this is to deliver this promise, and that's why we have built Azure Sphere. Let's take a bit of time to see how is built Azure Sphere and how it is architected. It will allow us to understand how then it can be operated and run at scale. We can start by positioning Azure Sphere in overall Microsoft IoT portfolio. So Azure is delivering many services for IoT, compound in 4 layers. The first layer is really about some verticals and some specific segments and solutions addressing them. A second layer is about SaaS, software as a service, as with Azure IoT Central. The third layer is about PaaS services with Azure IoT Hub and Azure Digital Twins, for example. And the last layer is about edge and devices technologies. Azure Sphere is part of this layer. In that sense, Azure Sphere can be used to develop IoT devices and to integrate them in Azure IoT platform. To go a bit deeper, how Sphere is implemented, we can see there that it is built over multiple components. 4 components, basically. One being hardware, microcontrollers, which are embedding specific technologies from Microsoft in silicon, so-called Pluton security subsystem, which are providing a strong hardware root of trust. The second part is a secured OS, which is a Linux-based OS optimized for IoT and for security. The third part is a security service, a cloud service, which is there to manage 3 critical things. It brokers trust between the device and the cloud. It monitors devices for emerging security threats, and it's also logging errors accordingly. Lastly, it renews device security, updating OSs and different firmware. The last component is the ongoing servicing, and that's actually what I will discuss afterward when I will speak about running security. Together, these components provide what we consider as a golden standard for IoT security. Devices using our Azure Sphere platform will have the required hardware root of trust and all the software stack on top of that to make it secured and to maintain it like that. Taking a closer look to the 3 foundational components, we see the certified chip, which is built on top of Pluton security subsystem, the firewalls, which are delimiting different hardware pieces, and the different cores running applications securely. Then there is the operating system. Let's take a second to check that. This operating system is layered for reinforced security, but also interestingly, it's running containers, application containers. And that's reflecting the programmer model in Azure Sphere, where the developer will develop application images that will be deployed through containers on the different Azure Sphere devices. Finally, the third building blocks is the security service. And what is interesting on this diagram is that you can see that there is a separation between the path to maintain your device secured and to update it, and the path where you run all your application data and your telemetry. In that sense, it's allowing your Azure Sphere device to communicate with any backend, being Azure or another one. Going a bit deeper, Azure Sphere Security Service protects your device with certificate-based authentication. This service is delivering to each device an X509 certificate. The actual PKI managing emission, renewal and revocation of certificate is managed and within the platform. It also detects emerging security threats through automated processing on device failures. If anything happens, it responds to threats with fully automated on-device updates of the OS. And finally, to facilitate the deployment and to secure it, it allows for an easy software update of your application images. Finally, as mentioned earlier, there is an agnosticity for the cloud with which the Azure Sphere device is interacting. As pointed before, beside building a secure device, there is an important scope which is about running a secured device. Typically, building a secure device is about CapEx, an investment to develop, while running a secure device is about OpEx, operating expenditures, to run a device over its overall lifetime. To run the device, it is important to note that the cybersecurity threat landscape is ever evolving. So a solution protection must also evolve regularly in order to remain effective. Securing a device is neither a one-time action, nor it is a problem that is solely technical in nature. Implementing robust security measures upfront is not enough. Risks need to be mitigated not just once, but constantly and throughout the full lifespan of a device. Facing this threat landscape ultimately means acknowledging that organizations will have to confront the consequences of attacks and newfound vulnerabilities. The question is how to manage those risks beyond the technical measures that are in place. Securing IoT devices against cyber attacks requires a holistic approach that complements upfront technical measures, with ongoing practices that allows organizations to evaluate risk and establish a set of actions and policies that minimize threats over time. Cybersecurity is a multidimensional issue that requires the provider of an IoT solution to take several variables into account. It is not just the technology, but also the people who create and manage the product and the processes and practices they put in place that will determine how resilient it is. A common practice to manage cybersecurity is to plan an incident response life cycle. For this purpose, NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technologies, did release a document so-called Computer Security Incident Handling Guide, which is describing how to do that. Azure Sphere standard operating procedures are aligned with those guidelines, in addition to leveraging Microsoft battle-tested corporate infrastructure. Such a plan is typically split in 4 parts, which are iterative. The first part is the preparation, the plan itself. The second part is the detection and the analysis of different attacks, threats that are in presence. The third part is about acting over a detection or the activation of an attack. And the fourth part, which is a post-incident activity, which typically includes disclosure, public disclosure of any vulnerability. To illustrate the lack of maturity and maybe of standardization of this practice, it is notable that as of today, 77% of the businesses do not have a consistent deployed plan for this purpose. And 87% of companies doesn't have a disclosure policy in case of vulnerabilities. Let's take a further look on the detection and analysis part of this plan. All cyber attacks fall somewhere on a spectrum of complexity. On one side of the spectrum are simple and opportunistic attacks. Examples are off-the-shelf malware or attempts to steal data such as credentials. These attacks are usually performed by attackers with limited resources. On the other side of the spectrum are actors that use highly sophisticated methods to target specific parts of the system. All in one, all have one thing in common: an attacker faces relatively low risk with potentially very large rewards. Taking that into account, we believe that in order to protect our customers, we need to practice white hat hacking. This means our goal is to discover any vulnerability before the bad guys does. One proven approach is to test our solution from the same perspective as an attacker. So-called red teams are designed to emulate attacks. We do this multiple times a year and across the full stack of Azure Sphere. This means that our customers benefit from the rigorous security testing of our platform and are able to focus on the security of their own application. We work with world's most renowned security firms to test our product with real-time attacker mentality for an extended period of time and from multiple perspectives. Besides that, we leverage the full skills of Microsoft internal security groups to conduct regular internal red team exercise. The practice of constantly evaluating our defense and emulating the ever-evolving threat landscape is an important part of our security hygiene, and it's feeding actually the overall incident response plan. Security researchers play a significant role in securing billions of IoT devices. We encourage the responsible reporting of vulnerabilities based on a given policy called Coordinated Vulnerability Disclosure. Under the principle of this policy, researchers disclose newly discovered issues in hardware, software, and services directly to the vendors of the affected product. Purpose being to protect devices against identified vulnerability, but only afterward disclosing it publicly. Actually, there is a format to register vulnerabilities. This format is called CVE, Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures. It is a dictionary that provides definitions for publicly disclosed vulnerabilities and exposures. The goal of CVE is to make it easier to share data and to exchange on a common definition and have common databases. A CVE is comprised of an identifier, a description, public reference. We will see an example of CVE in the next slide. To activate the security community, we invite and incentivize researchers from across the world to look for and report any vulnerability through our Azure Bounty program. This program is applicable to Azure Cloud overall and not specifically to Azure Sphere. Depending on the quality of submissions and the level of severity, we award successful reports with up to $40,000. We firmly believe that researchers should be awarded competitively when they improve the security of Azure platform. And we maintain these important relationships for the benefit of all. Another, more specific program to activate security community is the Azure Sphere Security Research Challenge. We will also see details about it later. I was pointing CVE specific and common format. And I was pointing that their publication should respect a given order. In general, Microsoft publishes CVE about vulnerabilities that meet a certain bar of severity, and very important, for which a fix is available. What is the content of a CVE? We've mentioned identifier, etc. Each CVE for Azure Sphere is structured with a brief vulnerability description. So in the case showed here, it's an elevation of privilege, an FAQ, which is typical questions that a user may have about it, severity ranking to have a kind of understanding how critical is the issue, vulnerability impact, and the OS version that is affected. There is also a CVSS score, which is a common format to grade vulnerabilities. There is also an acknowledgement to the finder who reported it. This content is required in every CVE and the same across all Microsoft products. To find a list of all published CVE, you can refer to the Azure Sphere website. Importantly, when our CVE released, as said, we will never publish a CVE for a vulnerability if it has not been fixed and if a given duration hasn't been elapsed between the fix, the release of the fix, and the public disclosure of the vulnerability. As explained earlier, beside bounty programs, which are running all the year long, there are specific challenges to really activate the sourcing of potential vulnerabilities in product. The Azure Sphere Security Research Challenge is one of these occurrences. It is actually an expansion of Azure Security Lab, which is a larger program and which was announced at Black Hat in August 2019. This challenge has been spanned over 3 months between June and August 2020 for researchers that were accepted through open application. 70 researchers were selected within the different applications, and they came from 21 countries. Most of them are part of great teams in well-known companies in security like McAfee, Palo Alto Networks, Cisco, and Bitdefender. Notably, McAfee and Cisco did report the most critical vulnerabilities. They did issue very interesting reports, and to quote McAfee team report, the Azure Sphere engineering team has developed a really solid IoT system where we had to chain half a dozen of small vulnerabilities to get from a locked device to obtain root. Defense in depth and principle of least privilege have really shined here, where even after getting root access, we are still far from having compromised the higher value targets. Actually, this challenge is an illustration of all the effort that Microsoft is putting to run security on Azure Sphere. I will close this session, hopefully having conveyed a few messages. Two key messages being Azure Sphere is a great platform to deliver IoT devices and solutions with high but also necessary bar on security. The second message being that building security is critical. Running security is as critical. Probably running security is even more, in a sense that it is generally underestimated and it is tackled after fact.